how'd you go from that to where you are now? What's because you're now like you've traveled all over the country. I remember when your first book, you did a book tour. You had the freedom to do that.
We did a thank you tour. Yeah. So what happened was it was essentially 7 or 8 years of John Lennon, talked about like the book Watching the Wheels. If anybody remembers that song, it's like he was kind of just enjoying life. He wasn't worried about being part of the show. And that was me for 7 or 8 years. We built the business very well. I had tons of time with our kids. Like we went to the park every day. We traveled. It was not about building this massive business.
Right.
It wasn't about that at all. Like we had more than enough. And I look back and regret. I'm like, oh, that was 2008. Like we could have really built an online empire. Because anybody, we reference Dan Miller. He was doing things in 2006, 2007, 2008 that nobody else was doing. He's very ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. Online communities. I didn't do any of that. We just were photographers. Yeah. And I look back, if I want to really beat myself up, I'm like, we were top of the field then. We could have started, we could have been the OGs in a lot of things. Mm-hmm. I didn't do it. We just enjoyed it.
Sure.
Which I do not regret. But around 2014, 2015, I started getting this. There's more to this. There's more to my life and career. I started following much more Seth Godin and Gary Vaynerchuk and went to a conference. I met them there in 2014. I was like, all right, I'm going in this direction, and started writing a book. And then because I started getting people to ask me questions, how'd you build this life? Because most photographers are struggling. You guys have this financial freedom and time freedom. When
you guys were traveling, what were you? Obviously, you weren't doing weddings at that point. What was bringing in the money during the traveling time?
We built it to where like, okay, weddings end around October. And they start back up around April. And if we want them to, you could always take more, but those are usually lower priced weddings during that time.
October to April that you just completely could play. That's awesome.
Yeah. I met my friend Ken Carfagno, and he's like, it was mid-October. He goes, we have my next wedding we're wrapping up. He's like, when's the next one? Like April. And he's like, what do you have to do in between there? I'm like, whatever I want to do. And he was like, what? So that's when I started writing a book, because everybody's like, so that's where Freelance to Freedom came from.
Wow.
And then when that book came out, all of a sudden, as you know, that's around the time we met, is like a whole different world opens up of online income, of podcasting, and all these other live events. And it's like, so then eventually 2016, 2018, it's like, okay, we're kind of done carrying cameras. I don't want to, and we just kind of moved on, and then haven't done since. Yeah.
Was that a tough decision to drop the camera, or was your business such at a point that like, we got money coming in now, and that income is not so substantial anymore?
Yeah, we transitioned there, but it was more about, I go way more in terms of how do I want to live life than how much money I want to make.
Yeah.
And it was more like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And if I did want to do it, even if it didn't matter about the money, I would have kept doing it.
Yeah.
But everything was changing. Even in the sports world, we used to have unfettered access. Like anywhere I wanted to go, you do it. You know the players, and then it's like they start courting you off more and more. They start giving less and less access, and it's like then you start becoming more the corporate cog. And then I'm like, I did it. I was, that moment in New Orleans on the field with Brady, never would have had that anymore. It's all so it's like, okay, you're starting to fade from that. So it was more like, I think I always need a new challenge, and if I get to that point and I can't challenge myself anymore, I quit it or kill it, and move on. Yeah. And people think I'm insane because like we gave up a good 6-figure business and didn't sell it. We just said we're done.
Yeah. That's awesome.
People thought it was crazy. But I'm like, if money is not the center of your world, if freedom in your life is the center of your world, we could do it less if we wanted to, but also if you build it up, you won't have to. And then you can literally on the dime, I want to go do this now. And I just love adventure and I love challenges. So that's where we went.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh.